Good morning, everyone. We want to welcome you back to Mobile App Academy, where we show you how to build and configure mobile apps live on the Now platform. My name is Charlie Steiner, product marketer here at ServiceNow on the mobile team. And today, we'll be walking you through a new feature released in Quebec, mobile deep linking. So we're very excited to show this off and for the first time in our academy. But if you're joining us for the first time, we want to welcome you to Mobile App Academy. This is a live building series that focuses on managing and building out mobile apps in real time. So we have product experts on hand to provide guidance, best practices, and answer any of your questions in the Q&A window. We host these sessions every 2 weeks here on Zoom at 10 a.m. Pacific, and our recordings are posted to our YouTube playlist, which will be linked in the chat shortly on Thursday mornings, the following Thursday after the Tuesday. And as we continue, just to point out a few resources, we do have quite a bit available on our mobile community. So a plethora of enablement resources and guidebooks that are great, new white papers, and a lot of great learnings and labs that we also offer via Now Learning. And we'd also like to point out the link to our YouTube playlist, which will also be in the chat shortly, where you can find previous sessions like how to deploy Now Mobile, getting started with Mobile Card Builder, and another recent release, and user experience analytics, as well as our most recent session of 2 weeks ago on configuring push notifications. So one more thing to note is if you like this session, if you like this Academy series, we also do really want to promote our sister teams in Virtual Agent who have a similar series, and in HR, as well as Performance Analytics, and in Platform Foundation. So do be sure to check them out, let them know you came from us, and you can find them by navigating to their forum on the community site in the top left-hand of your screen. I also have one more thing to note is we are running and I say we, our mobile team, a What's New in Rome mobile webinar that will be posted in the chat shortly, and you can register for that. And that would be October 6th at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. So we hope to see you there as well, and that link will be in the chat. With all that being said, I'm going to pass it off to David Ha to kick things off for today's session.
Thanks for the intro, Charlie. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Mobile App Academy. My name is David Ha, and I'll be your host for today. And as always, I have Fu Ho with me, who's a solution architect of the mobile team here as well. And we want to give a warm welcome to everyone joining us live. For today's topic, we're going to show you how to configure mobile deep links into external third-party apps, such as Slack or Zoom. This is a capability that we released in Quebec. And so we'll use today's session to walk you through some of the tips and tricks and answer any questions that come up along the way. For today's schedule, this will be about a quick 30-minute session. We'll start it off with a quick 5-minute overview. I want to make sure we're all aligned on what a mobile deep link is and then what you can do with it. And then we'll also jump into our exercises for today. We'll dive on how you can deep link into those external apps, and then what are some common use cases. And then we'll open up to some Q&A afterwards. And for the folks who are still new to mobile, as Charlie had mentioned, recommend checking out some of our earlier introduction sessions on how to get started. We have uploaded a plethora of resources on mobile community, as well as our playlist that's just full of implementations and learnings that you can find on YouTube. So definitely check those out if you haven't already. But with all of that said, let's dive into the quick overview. So mobile deep linking. In last week's session, we walked you through how you can take advantage of push notifications and then how you can deep link into any screen that's on one of the ServiceNow mobile apps. But what we covered last session was just your standard deep link, which works to navigate users on your ServiceNow agent client or on your Now mobile client. But what you can also do with deep links, with the help of the deep link enhancement that we released in Quebec, is admins can now configure deep links to take you into third-party mobile apps, the ones that support them at least. So if you want to take your users from agent into Microsoft Teams, Slack, Workday, or Zoom, this is now possible. Your field agent could want to message an end user directly from the instant record. And with the help of the deep link, the agent would just tap on a button that's on your ServiceNow agent client. And then they would be able to direct that user to the preferred app of communication, whether it be Slack or Teams. So those are a couple of the common use cases that we'll be configuring today. And to configure this really just 3 simple steps. Will be a pretty fast configuration. First is that you need to configure the allow list system property on your instance. And that's going to determine which apps you allow your users to be able to deep link into. Second is you need to create a URL function. And that's really just your button that your end user will tap on to go into that external mobile app. And then lastly is you just need to format the URI for your deep link. And that really depends on the target app. What we mean by that is, does that external app that you like to navigate to, do they support deep links? So common apps who have publicly documented their URI formatting for deep linking include companies like Slack or Zoom and Workday. So it's really, you have to make sure that those companies support deep linking, and in that way, ServiceNow Mobile will also support it. Okay. A quick tip to call out here is you can actually pass parameters with these deep links as well. So if you want to go from instant record into a Slack channel, you're also able to pass parameters like instant number or short description to help expedite that conversation so you don't lose context. And Fu will walk us through some of this during the exercises. But with all of that said, I'm going to now pass it over to Fu, who's going to take us through the exercise today. We're going to deep link into Slack as the first example. And then for the second, we're going to deep link into Zoom. Okay. So I'll pass it over to you, Fu.
Hi, thanks, David. Hello, everyone. So for this session, we're going to do a deep link using an out-of-the-box experience. So just imagine you're an IT agent and there's a critical incident. Let's say, for example, the HR system's down, payroll's down, or email server's down. And you want to either click a button to go into a Slack channel to discuss in more detail, or you wanted to go to a Zoom conference call. It's called like a war room. And so we can discuss, have live discussions on your mobile phone. So today we're just going to configure those two, but you can basically configure any other deep linking like what David said, as long as it's supported. So David, I'm going to share my screen. All right, so before we begin, I'm going to show you what we are going to change real quick. So on our agent app, out of the box, there is on the incident, there is my incidents. So as a technician, I'm going to look for, it's going to show me all the critical apps, incidents. And when you go down here, you notice that, oops, move this out of the way. Notice how there's two out of the box functions, the add comments and then resolve. We're going to get rid of these. And then we're going to add the deep linking functions to it. So let's first hide these guys. So on my instance, I'm going to use platforms to do this. You can also use Mobile Studio. So let's go down to the incident, my incidents. So go to mobile, applets, and then type in my incident. And this is a form screen. Okay, so this is a form screen. And so we want to go to this one. And since you have in your form screen, there's multiple segments, and we want to go to the detailed segment because this is where the function lives. So in your form screen, we go to the segment of details. And here in the embedded screen, sorry. In here, we'll see a thing called screen fields, which is here. And we'll also see a thing called function instance belongs to. So now we can see that here are all the functions that lives in this detailed screen. So we want to hide the add comments and resolve. So let's hide that. Again, we're just going to reuse this form screen, but we just want to hide the out of the box stuff. Okay, and so if I refresh it, it should disappear, and there it is. It's gone. Okay, now we want to add two functions with deep linking. So in order to do that, the first thing we want to do, what David said, was we want to allow, there's a new system property called glide SG allowed external deep linking. So let's go to the sys property. And we want to search for, let's see, it's called external deep link right here. So there's a documentation. David has posted it on chat. So if I'm going to go here, this is the documentation for opening external deep linking. And here is the sys property. And what you have to do is you have to provide a comma separated list of all the external apps to allow it. So this is actually a security measure. So I'm going to go here, open this up, and go to the right scope. And so here are the available deep linking applications. So we're going to go and just add Slack first of all. Now, notice how I do Slack lowercase s, okay? Make sure you do that, not the capital S. Let's just do Slack and then we'll do Zoom after that. So what this does is that it's going to allow Slack to be able to, for our mobile app to call Slack. If you don't do this, it'll just say it's denied, that you can't go to Slack. So this is more of a security measure. So the next thing we want to do.
A quick question.
Is,
yep. How did you know the value of Slack? Is that in the documents so that you knew that it wasn't capital or whatever?
Oh, that's a very good point. So the next thing I was going to show you was, first of all, identify what external applications you want to go to, right? For example, a Slack. And what you can do is you can say Slack URL schema for deep linking. And here it is, reference deep linking into Slack. Okay, so that means Slack does allow deep linking. And then you go to their API documentation. And what we really care about is anything that opens up an iOS or Android app. So if we go down here to give you some examples, and you notice how it says HTTP slack.com. This is something that we don't want because it's more of a browser base. But we want to go to deep linking with Slack. This is the URI that Dave was talking about. The Slack colon //. Okay, so this right here should be defined in here. Okay, and then we go down here. We can see that it supports these URIs. We can either open your Slack application, or we can go to the particular teams, or we can go to a particular channel. Okay, so this is what I'm interested in. Because we have an incident like this 53, we want to go into a specific channel and have a discussion there. So this is the scheme. So let's create the channel first. So in my Slack, so if you're never used Slack, never used Slack before, here's Slack, and then in channels, I want to create a new channel, and I'm going to call it incident 000053. So I'll just create a Slack channel. So now I have the Slack channel. Now the next thing I need to do is figure out this Teams ID and channel ID. And so in your client here, what you can do is you open up you copy the link like so, and then you just paste it into a web browser. And I want to open up in a web browser. Okay, now I'm open up in a web browser, and this is what I care about, is these two values. Okay. So this value here is the Teams ID, and this value is the the channel. So let me paste this in here in my Slack. So that's my team ID. And oops, what did I say? Oh, I should have done that. So let me do that again. Copy a link. Ah, it's right here. C. Okay, so that is my channel ID. Like so. Okay, so once I know the team ID and the channel ID, now I need to construct, add this to a function. So let's add a function. So let me get this out of the way. So now we want to add 2 footer functions here. Oh, actually add a footer function here. So let's go to mobile and go to the applet again and go to my incident. And go to the form screen. And we need to go to the details screen. And we're going to create we had to create a function instance. Actually, we need to create a function first, but okay. So let's create a function instance. And let's call it go to Slack channel. And let's we need to create a function. Let's call it the same thing. Go to Slack. Now, this is going to be a URL type. And since we're on the record screen, we can just set it as record. And here, we're just going to say same thing, go to Slack channel. And then we're going to add, now we're going to construct the URL scheme. So let's look at the API. So this is what we should paste in this channel. Oop. Let's go here. Okay, we're going to paste it here. And all we need to do is fill in the team ID and the channel ID. So the team ID is this. And the channel ID is this. Okay, so now we've created a function. We got to do, because it's record type, so we got to declare define a table, which is incident. And I believe that's it. Yep. Okay, this is create. So here's back to our function instance, and we're going to put the label there and change the location to footer because we want to add it down here. Hit submit. Okay, so now we've added the footer to go to Slack channel. So let's see if this works. So go to here, and there is my my function. Now I have Slack right here natively. So technically, if I click on it, it should open up this and deep link me into that channel that I just created. So if I click on this, and there it is, it just opened up the native application into Slack. And if I type something, hello world, like so. And if I'm on my client, I can also see hello world. So that works. Before I move on to creating the Zoom, is there any questions, David?
Yeah, we have
on
a
this?
question from Pei Ling. Quick question. Once you've added the deep link, does this work across all devices, iOS, Android, etc.?
Yes. Yeah. You just need so this deep link scheme works for Android and on iOS. So you don't need to specify. But the most important thing is you have to allow this in your sys property. So let's go back to our sys property and let's not allow it. Let's see what happens. So if I go here, and if you forget to do this, like for example, like this. Okay, so now I have nothing. I don't allow it. And I go back to here. And I try to do it, it's gonna say it's blocked. Okay, so this sys property is more of a security measure so that no one can just add in any URL scheme to deep link into, like, I don't know, like Twitter, for example, right? So as an admin, this gives you more control. So let's add Slack. Yep.
Another quick question from Patrick. So he's wondering, we showed a hard-coded example, but do we also support dynamic parameters as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. So this is what I was talking about. So let's go back to, no, we gotta go back to the function. So let me go to the function real quick. Function instance, let's go to the function. And let's go to the function. Okay. So yes, to answer your question, yes, it can be dynamic. So for this use case, we're just hard coding it. But because I'm having it as a record, right? Let's say, for example, this Teams ID and your channel ID is somewhere is a field within this record. Then you can basically reference that record by doing, I don't know, like channel ID, like so. If there's a field here in this table that has channel ID, you can pass parameters over, and the same with the Teams ID as well. Does that answer your question?
Perfect. Another quick question from Anne: is it possible to embed external app screens inside of the ServiceNow mobile app?
External app screens. Oh, like embed, like let's say Twitter into a web screen in native. Is that my understanding? If
and
that's
we're
the
going to
case,
unmute you real fast just to clarify. So I think you should be allowed to talk now. Feel free to ask your question directly.
Yeah, so you open a Slack in itself, right? Launch the Slack itself. I'm wondering whether you can embed a Slack inside of the mobile app, ServiceNow mobile app.
Yeah, you can't do that. The web screens, okay, so the web screens, you can only do, it opens up internally for relative URLs. But anything that's external, it opens up an external browser.
Okay, gotcha.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
That's a really good question.
Perfect.
It's more of a security thing. Like anything relative URLs it's open up internally. But external is it just launches whatever browser it is. Any other questions?
One last question. Can you dot lock to a fit field? I'm guessing this is in reference to the dynamic parameters.
I haven't tried. Let's say, for example, we want to go to assigned, what is it? Assigned user or something like that. I forgot the name of it. I think I haven't verified, but I think you can probably like do some like assigned
Assigned to,
user.
by the way.
Oh yeah, assigned to. That's right. Assigned to dot like name, for example. I haven't tried that out. But if someone has, you can, if someone can verify. But I would think I would try that using dot notation. But to answer the original question is, yes, you can do a dynamic and pass parameters, assuming that the record context is the context is record and not global. And in this table, we have information about the IDs in here in your table. In my next function, we're going to do zoom into this call as a war room. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because I want to show you a pro tip on be careful when you add additional links. So now we want to create go to Zoom War Room. So in here and right here. And we're going to zoom into this the Zoom call. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so next thing we're going to do, the first thing you want to do is we want to enable it, right? So go back to the sys property. And okay, so here's a pro tip. When you're adding additional applications and you say comma zoom, actually comma space zoom, this will fail. You got to make sure that there is no space. So it's comma zoom. However, it's not really zoom. Remember, I told you, I mentioned before that go to the vendor's API and actually get the URI. So if you do zoom, this is actually false. It's actually zoom US. And how do I know that? Let's do a search. So zoom URL schemes, and this guy wrote about it, and he has here's all the protocols. And so here's the Windows and Mac for deep linking. It's called Zoom MTG. We don't care about this. We care about the iOS and Android client. So it's Zoom US. So this is what you want to add into here. Okay. So that's number one. And number two is do not do spaces because it would fail. So let's allow this first. So number one, allow it. Okay. And then the other part is basically doing the same thing. Let's go to the detailed screen. So go to a detailed screen and then create a function instance. And we'll call it go to Zoom War Room. And let's see, and the function, we're going to call it, we'll create a new function. Go to Zoom War Room. Again, the action is URL and it's the record. And do the same thing here. Let's make sure we're doing incident again. So now let's put in the link URL. Okay, so let's go back to the documentation on Zoom. It says a Zoom US join and this conference number. Now we can, if your Zoom conference has like a password or the username, you can add those in there as well. But we're just going to do the conference number and then we're going to we're just going to add the conference here. So David or Charlie, can you send me the Zoom conference number of this Zoom call?
Yes, 1 second.
And just
The
paste it in
meeting
chat.
ID, right?
Yeah, the meeting ID.
Yep, I'm slacking to it right now.
No, actually put it on chat.
Okay, perfect.
Perfect. All right. So I'm gonna do this. Oop. Copy paste. Okay. Hopefully this is the right Zoom. And hit submit. And we should see go to Zoom War Room and let's provide the same label. And we're going to do a footer. And let's just change the color to secondary. Hit submit. And we should see go to War Room. So I'm going to refresh. And there's go to Zoom War Room. And I want to show you that I do have Zoom here. It's not launched. And when I click on this, hopefully, it's going to automatically join. It's going to ask me for my name. Oh.
And then you might want to hide your screen if it asks for a password.
Yeah, it did. So I want to join the meeting. How come it asked me to join the meeting ID? Let's see. It should direct me into it. So let's go back here. It's asking for a meeting ID. Let's see if this is the right meeting ID. 569-335. No, I think there's something wrong with the meeting ID. Oh, maybe because I'm the host. I'm already in.
Oh, you're already using, yeah, you're logged into Zoom already. That's probably the reason why.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it should log you in automatically.
Yeah, we'll assume this works. It's just because you can't log in twice.
Yeah, let me show you something else. So like when I was talking about the security stuff. So if I go to here, and let's say, for example, I did some like this, right? Have a space. So let me go back to agent. So you click on it and you click on go to Zoom. So it's blocked and you're like wondering how come it's blocked because I have it here. Well, it's because of that space. So just be careful of that as well. All right. So that ends the session on deep linking to external applications. Again, you can go anywhere. You can go to LinkedIn, Fidelity, whatever. Just make sure you always make sure that the application you're going to, the destination, has some sort of deep linking API or support. And then what you want to do is just get this URL scheme, and then you can put it into a function. Any additional questions?
That was awesome, Vic. We have a couple of questions. Quick one from Payling. Does any ACL involved in those buttons? Let's say I want to prevent certain groups from seeing that button. Is that possible?
Yes, that is configured. That is configured on the function itself. Oh, let's go to the function.
You should just be able to apply a role, I believe, to the function, right?
Let's just go to the function. There's a condition that you can add, like if you don't meet this criteria, you're not able to get in there. So in a function, yeah, there's like a role here. Like, for example, I can say if the assignment group is not ITIL, for example, then it won't appear. So you can do this.
Perfect. One last question from Tony. I think this might be unrelated. How about putting Siri or Google Voice beside Slack? Is that possible? Not quite sure what he means by that.
I think we do have, I think we have like Siri, we enable Siri, right, in mobile?
What does he mean by besides Slack? Oh, yeah, gotcha.
We have Siri shortcuts. Is that what he meant?
Tony, we're gonna unmute you for a quick second and we'll wrap you up with as the last questioner. Tony, we allowed you to talk. Feel free to unmute yourself.
Oh, what I was referring to would be great if we can, like how he have go to Slack on the bottom. Instead of go to Slack, can we have like go to Siri or go to Google Voice or something? Because we're implementing some NLP for our future systems. If we can do that, like besides talking in Zoom and go to Slack, we can talk to the NLP and retrieve certain information related to that ticket. So I was wondering if we can have something like that on the bottom.
So it would have to be an external client, right? So if there's a Google, like I don't know what Google uses, but if a Google Assist, you can see if you can do. Let me see the Google Assist.
I think, yeah, okay.
Deep link. Let's see if they have it. I don't know. If they don't have it, then you can't really call it. But let's see if they have it. So if they do have it, they have your scheme. Doesn't look like they have a scheme here. So deep link to Google Home, you can do something like this. But I think like this URL, it's going to open up a web browser, and then it might just go somewhere else.
Can you?
Yeah, I don't
try. Oh,
yeah, I can try.
Okay.
So I do have Google Assist. Do I have Google Assist here? I do have Google Assist. So edit. So let's me move it to here.
Okay.
And let's see, my destination is for Android, syntax for Google Home, deep link to destination. What does a destination mean?
They may have it under dialog flow. That's another.
Oh, you want to invoke a dialog flow.
That's their Google version of configuring their Google Assistant. I think it's called Dialog Flow.
Okay.
So this might take a bit longer than a quick a config. We haven't quite looked into this, but I think it's super important to kind of just start digging into the docs itself. We could possibly explore this in a future session, but probably not right now. But Tony, feel free to, we have a post survey questionnaire. Feel free to let us know in that survey that this is something that you'd be interested in seeing in the future. Something we can possibly explore.
Yeah.
as well.
Thank you.
But we support this as well. You can just add in this URL into here,
Oh wait.
and then just try it out. Basically, if I see something like this, like HTTPS, it's gonna launch like a web browser, and that web browser is gonna kick you off to another application.
Oh,
So try it. Yeah, it'll work. You just have to make sure that it's you allow it in here. That's all.
So I think the important note here is, all this stuff is going to be found on other companies' docs, right? Not ServiceNow's. So it's important
Correct.
that they go through that due diligence to go through what's available publicly in their docs.
Correct.
okay.
Okay. It looks
Thank
like we don't
you.
have any other questions at the moment. So I think we'll wrap up for today. Thank you, everyone. That was a great session. I think there was a few people that found this quite helpful. We're going to have another, there's a post-session survey that gets open as soon as you leave this survey, this session. So feel free to let us know, was this topic helpful to you? And then what are future topics you'd like to see? So please let us know in the survey. And if you're interested in any of our past mobile app academies, we do record these and upload them to YouTube, which you can find on our mobile community site. So make sure to subscribe to our mobile community forum, register to our mobile app academy series, so that you can get the latest notifications. With all that said, thank you all, everyone, and we hope to see you again in 2 weeks. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.